video. And I was extremely intrigued by it, so I started to like scan the channel. And as I started to scan the channel, I realized that me and Nora had a lot of things in common. Specifically, the stuff with paranormal and the kink stuff. I myself, being a online sex worker, I participate in a lot of kink activities, both for work. And personally, just because it's something that I enjoy doing. And so to see videos and to see very smart individuals speak about the topic interested me in the channel. So with a couple of the kink videos that he put out, and I was intrigued by everything. And in one of the kink videos, he had asked for people who had ever received unsolicited dick pics to email his assistant, who was Flower at the time. I know the name is floating around the server. And to email his assistant, and he would get back to them because he wanted to have an interview. To send in a written story about me and my like knowledge of unsolicited dick pics, which is what I did. Looking back at it now, I realized that he had information on me before he even met me / before I knew he had met me, which kind of trips me out. So I started following his Instagram, and soon after I started following his Instagram, he posted in his story that he was asking for sex workers to interview for one of his kink videos. And so because I was super interested in the channel, I had already been watching for a while. I already sent him the email. I instantly DM'd him, and he instantly responded back to me. And we went to set up an interview for me to talk about my experiences as a sex worker, the intense things that I was being requested to do, etc. That's how I first became aware of the channel, and how I first became aware of everything kind of going on, like with the community and stuff, and that there was a YouTube channel that, you know, helped survivors. I watched his videos every single day. I thought this guy was like the best guy ever. He was exposing all these dark secrets. He was like exposing all these things that I was doing my research on separately, and being myself a survivor of other abuses, like before any of this. I was I was seriously just like happy that there was a place that people could go and actually get some help, which made me feel good. And yeah, when I broke my ankle, I was in a super dark place. All my friends had basically abandoned me. I don't have a good family life, so that kind of wasn't a thing. And yeah, I was alone sitting in my basement apartment, seriously depressed with a broken ankle. So this place was a good place for me to kind of just go and to the Discord server to do the interview with him. And I'd never been on Discord before. So I didn't really know how to figure it out, but we did we did an interview together. We talked on live chat for about 3 or 4 hours, just getting to know each other, him asking me about why I was interested in the channel. And after opening up to him about a few things, obviously we started talking. We did the interview, which you all maybe have seen. I'm not sure if it's still up. Actually, I should have looked to see if it was still up. For a video he was going to put out. And that video actually was supposed to go out in September 2019. And he put it out way after that, like I think in January. So that should just tell you where my information went. It obviously was not being used for what it should have been used for. But while we were talking about that, obviously as a creative director, I was super interested in helping him do some other projects, just being kind of creative. And we had just kind of talked about that in passing, because I was telling him about some other projects I was working on at the time personally. And we decided that I was going to create this like torture red room footage. Basically, I was going to create like a 1-for-1 red room experience from start to finish, including my death, of me being tortured in different ways. And we were going to take that footage and use it as like a social experiment. We were going to make it kind of like a secret, nobody knew it was real, kind of deal. And I was really excited about it. I was excited to work with the channel. I was excited that it would possibly be a part of a series. As just like someone who loves horror and someone who just loves creating and someone who loves acting, I was like, this is fucking sick. I went all out. I have hours and hours and hours of behind the scenes footage of me collecting all the props, all the production.
All right, crew, we're taking the Surviving Life channel on the road. I am here in my local dollar store to buy a few things to torture and kill myself with.
Me setting everything up, me putting a team together, me doing everything. He did not finance any of it. I financed all of it. And he told me to keep receipts, but like obviously that never came to fruition. To be completely honest with you, I found out after I left the community that it was actually given to somebody as a gift. As a sorry, I'm not paying enough attention to you gift. And then I later found out that I myself was kind of a gift for somebody to play with. So thinking about that footage kind of bothers me. He still obviously to this day uses it. That's why even today he was messaging me about it. It was for morgues, Kayla. It was for morgues. I'll use it eventually for myself. I took a lot out of it. I lost my voice for 2 weeks completely for it. So I couldn't work any other job. I didn't get compensated for it. I was physically put in trauma. I've been raped before in similar ways to things that I acted out in hoping that it would do some type of healing. And at the time that it did, and now that I look back, it is kind of fucked. That was at the end of September. So at the end of December, I started to send him finished Red Room project stuff, and he started to see it. And he was super excited about it, and that's when he wanted me to get closer in to the community. So he asked me before he would give me any more responsibilities in like the team or anything like that, to just like introduce myself into the community, which is a little bit of an isolation tactic looking back at it, but yeah, so I spent a lot of my time in the community and in the chat, and that's where I quickly kind of like moved up the ranks in places in terms of like staff and modding. So that's when all of a sudden everyone started seeing me like modding on the live streams like really intensely, and like me participating in lives and stuff. It's because him and I had already been talking for about like a month and a half, and I was moving up quickly in the ranks, and I was really excited because I was helping a lot of people. At the time, like I said, I was hearing a lot of everyone's stories, and it made me feel good to be in a place that I could help, especially because I was in such a dark place, and I'm not usually a dark person, and he used that definitely to his advantage. I know also moving me up in like ranks of staff was a way to get others in staff to either not like me or talk shit about me or just wonder my role. And I don't blame them at all for that, because from my understanding, he hid a lot from everybody, and he kind of did it on purpose to keep all of us from being friends with each other. Because honestly, me being friends with someone in this, like someone really high up in staff, actually is what brought me to some conclusions later on. So he knew what he was doing by keeping everyone separate and not talking to each other. There was many cases where he told me I wasn't allowed to talk to people. Many. Not a lot of people know about this. This is the first time I'm telling the story in one go. So as we were talking all throughout September, he kept telling me how like special I was. And we had a lot of talk about spirituality and magic and just like being connected. And a lot of you don't know me, but if you do, I am an empathetic medium, and I work in spirituality a lot, and paranormal things are my favorite thing. How did I find out it was a gift? I later spoke to somebody, and then I later actually spoke in a live stream with her. and she told me herself. Talked about like spirituality and magic and how we were connected, and he would start to talk a little bit about how he didn't have this connection with anybody else, how there was only a couple of other people in his life that he had that connection with, and it was just so ironic that we all happened to be into the same things. And he was just starting to allude to this idea that there was like a sisterhood of some type, or some like just some type of like connection between people that we didn't really know. And me, yeah, it is like a script, not gonna lie. And yeah, and so I was like, at the time, he knew how much I was into spirituality, so he knew to me how much of like a universal sign that was. And so he used that definitely to pull me in. That's when he introduced the cult to me. So I actually have stuff written down from the first conversation that we had of him, the way he introduced it to me. I know it's going to sound very similar to some people because I've showed it to some other survivors as well in the past, and they were kind of shook at how similar it was. So this conversation happened on September 29th, 2019. And this is the day that he introduced anything sexual to me. So like we were kind of flirty beforehand a little bit, but like not really. He knew that I was a sex worker, and he was helping me, or he promised to help me. Honestly, at the time I was on Snapchat, and we needed a way to like moderate our clients through Snapchat. And so he was telling me that he had this app, like he knew someone who could make this app that could help me. So my roommate, who's also in the industry, and I kept talking about it. So he was trying to help me out. So he kind of knew that I was into the industry at that point. He knew my entire life. And yeah, at this point, he kept telling me that we had a connection, a spiritual connection, that this was more, that he's never felt this way about anybody else. And I have screenshots for all of that too. Everything I'm talking about, I have screenshots for, by the way. Everything I'm talking about is all come from screenshots. And like obviously my own knowledge, but anything I have is screenshot evidence. So yeah, September 29th, 2019. I feel like you see me for me. These are all things that he told me. I feel like you see me for me. Thank you for letting me in, Meg. What I have to offer you is something that could last forever. Okay, so think about what you want, and you will find out all about what I want tomorrow. But I will say my dom name is Dominus, and Dominus craves flesh, little creep. So you imagine how you can convince your Dominus your flesh is worth it. I have receipts for all of this. Yeah, and he's like, since we did the interview, I could feel our connection growing stronger every day. Later on that day, or the day after, I sent him a message back explaining some of this stuff, just like asking him to explain it to me. And then that's when he started to send me what we now know as the first copy of the house. I'm kind of blocking a lot of my emotions out to like factually just give it out now, because it's going to get into some stuff that I just want to block out. This like torture red room footage. Basically, I was going to create like a 1-for-1 red room experience from start to finish, including my death, of me just being tortured in different ways. And we were going to take that footage and use it as like a social experiment to like we were going to make it kind of like a secret, if no, like nobody knew it was real kind of deal. And I was really excited. Like actually. So yeah. So I started to see things changing then. And that's when I started getting stuff for the house contract. Part of my situation was he called me every morning at 10 a.m. every day. I would tell him what my day was, what I was doing for the day. And we would talk, we would do stuff for the channel. I would have a middle of the part of the day where I would do some work, and then I would be on a live stream at night or in the community the rest of the night, and basically basically just like I was just always in the realm of Nor. At every point. He controlled every aspect of my life, including basically when I went out, what I did, who I spoke to in the community, and everything. The sex cult info, I have the exact date of when he sent me the file. I was the first person to get that document. A lot of the tasks in the document were tasks that he had already written out for me. I'm not sure if he had sent it to the other women at that time, but at that time there were 2 other women also involved, but they didn't receive the document until afterwards. Their grooming process was already in motion, though, for a while. But I think it just happened that he manipulated 3 people at the perfect moment to put this together. Yeah, October 7th, 2019 was the day the Google Doc was sent to me. He asked me to look over it and edit it and see if there was anything that I wanted to take out or do anything about. But that document soon came offline not too long after. I didn't know why. I was lucky I had already screenshots of it, and at that time I was already creating my own notes folder, because one of our tasks was to have like a separate notes folder with all of our like tasks and our answers and stuff in it. So I had already created something separate like that, but at some point it went offline, and I found out it was because another member who he was trying to get to sign the contract basically told him, no, this is a sex cult, and he freaked out, and yeah, so he took that away quite quickly. I was hoping to God that he was not going to I like hoped he wasn't gonna send it to anyone else. But then when I got onto the when I was invited to the server, and I saw the like second version, I actually started crying, because that was my worry, was that like he was gonna keep going, and yeah, so that startled me a bit. And I'm sorry that I couldn't stop it when it was happening. I have a lot of guilt about this. I know it's normal, and I know that I shouldn't, but like a lot of the reason why I was so like scared to leave and why I stuck around for so long was because there's so many people involved, and I could see him starting to groom other people, and it's just scary when like this person like obviously threatens people, and we had just gone through the Wolfstar crap together, and I'm gonna eventually get to McKamey Manor stuff because I started that. Sorry. Okay, the grooming process. So at this point, since we're on this topic, a lot of people ask like, how can you groom adults? Like, that's impossible, or like you can't groom adults, like they give consent. 2017. So this is a recent article, or this is a recent journal. It's really important that I give out this information. I feel like when I give out this information, a lot of it is going to ring true to some of the experiences you guys have had, because not only can this be sexual grooming, a lot of these things are just like general grooming as well, which I think he's doing to everybody. So sexual grooming is the process of deliberately establishing a connection in order to prepare a person for sexual exploitation or abuse. Any situation in which an adult is primed to permit themselves to be abused and or exploited for sexual gratification of another is sexual adult grooming. Recognizable themes in the grooming profile process. The predator always profiles. They establish trust. It's a slow, gradual change in behavior. They create a psychological, social, emotional, and often physical reinforcing experience as an integral part of the process to prepare the victim, for the exploitation. Early stages of grooming offer the victim high stages of reward. at the hands of the predator. So exactly like the abuse cycle, yeah, it's very similar. An adult who is targeted by a sexual predator, oh shoot, yeah, I should skip over that because I'm going to go back to that. I will definitely go back to that. The abuse itself is often initially experienced by the victim as a positive experience and followed by confusion, guilt, fear, and or threats, and that usually is what stops people from coming out about everything, because it starts off as a positive experience to them, and then when they find out that this is all just a sham, they feel really guilty and confused, and they're usually threatened, and they're scared, and they say nothing. Actually, 4 out of 8% of adults who are abused or exposed or exploited, as a result of sexual grooming behaviors actually come forward. So 4 to 8% of people who are groomed, adults who are groomed, actually come forward, which is fucking insane. That's nothing. It makes me want to. It like breaks my heart. Yeah, like it breaks my fucking heart. Because that's how often it's happening and no one's talking about it. And so that's why I came here today, because we're talking about it, ladies and gents. Was there other women? Yeah. So grooming. So like talking about that, we'll just jump to this question. What kind of woman is he looking for? If this might be a little bit triggering. Many women associated with this cult. It is not just the first 3. It is not just I'm not sure how many people came after me. I only know of people that were there with me and people who were a part of things before me, and things were happening before me that I was unaware of until I was already like into the community. A predator looks for survivors of like abuse, neglect, of any kind of trauma, and this is particularly for Noor. And then I'll go into what like groomers might go into. But like for Noor, women that he goes for, survivors of abuse, neglect, of trauma of any kind, sex workers or women who participate in consenting adult activities in their professional or personal lives, and he does this on purpose so that it's all a part of that same like grooming tactic. It's easier to get closer to you in that sense. It's also easier to shame you when you leave. He does the same thing with the mental health. In my opinion, people with extreme trauma issues, and this includes myself, individuals who seek approval or validation from powerful or authoritative male figures, and not necessarily on purpose, just something that happens. He looks for those women, particularly women who feel neglected or lonely in their home life or marriage, or who need an escape from reality. Probably so that he can blackmail them, but also to kind of like keep them around, kind of keep it like a separate, like a completely separate reality for them. So like even when things happen, he kind of can keep it in his circle. Women with children who are empathetic to his unfortunate child situations. I'm pretty sure he uses this to draw them back in. I also assume he uses this to draw in community members. He didn't threaten me when I left, because I never really left on a big moment, but he did threaten me when I tried to expose him the first time. And he has plans for not just women as well. He also brainwashed and manipulated men too, and I will get to that as well. People, and he prays particularly for, and these kind of things can go with anybody, but like I know I was just talking about women, but like there are a lot of things in here that can go for men as well. These are just the type of people that he looks for. And he looks for people with the fawn stress response. So the fawn stress response are people who, when it comes to stress, they're so used to getting they're so used to abuse that instead of wanting to lash out or run away, they try to get closer to their abuser to like calm the situation. He loves people like that. Yeah, they're easier to pull back in when they decide to leave, or if they start getting like away from each other. So September was the whole grooming process. October is really when I was into the community and just doing mods and stuff. At the end of October is when I started to do my own research for the team. Sorry, I'm drinking water. I already had the cult manifest. He was already talking to me all the time. I was slowly doing the tasks that he was providing for me. So like I have all of those tasks written down. Also, as someone who's a creative, I have a lot of video evidence of things that I did. I have a lot of photo evidence of marks, of hand signs, of me going out, trying to like take photos of like women that like with women that he'd like, because that was one of our tasks that we had to do. It started just to escalate a lot throughout October. And then at the end of October, I had sent him a video about McKamey Manor, and I'm a big horror fan, and I love haunted houses and stuff. And I had like heard about Russ in the Fuckface like so long ago, and like it intrigued me, so I sent it to him and was like, "Hey, you should do a story on this." And you should do a story on this. It'd be really interesting. And so he kind of wasn't interested at all about it, but like I kept pushing it because I was super interested in it, to be honest. One day he did the Holly video. I have the date for that. November 1st is when he put out the Holly video, and that was the first Unmasking McKamey video that came out. And then soon after that, he jumped on it. He was like obsessed. He wouldn't stop. Like he loved the amount of attention he got from the first video. He was kind of surprised at how much attention he got from it. And he kind of just went off. And he kept doing all the videos, he kept putting the team on it. So like every time a new survivor would come into the community, he'd like put a couple of team members on them to like make sure they were safe. He was getting all of the team to like message anyone that they could to try to get them on the live streams, because that's also when he started to really do live streams. That's when I contacted Loie Lane. I commented, my queen Loie, I commented in one of her McKamey Manor video, her first one, on behalf of the community. And yeah, I sent him a link about it, and I said, hey, I wrote like something in her comment. And he actually sent me back, ew, no thanks, not this one. She's something, and I have a screenshot for that, and it kind of shook me, because soon after that, he was all over her like fucking glue, when at first he didn't even want to have anything to do with her. I was really excited about it. She ended up coming on a live stream. From my understanding, he had a couple of us staff members talking to her. I'm not sure if there was a reason. I didn't know about that until a little bit after. There's a few of us that he like kind of gave us instruction continue to message her. So that was a little bit surprising for me. And yeah, but this whole McKamey thing just kind of kept going. Obviously there was drama. It was getting a lot. And at one point before I left for my vacation, because I went to Jamaica at the end of November, right before I went on vacation, I kind of asked him, I was like, listen, like, what are you doing with this manor stuff? Because, you know, it's getting a lot. All of us are on here 24/7. How the team works now. But at the time that I was working on the team, we were doing a lot of work, like a lot of work. I basically spent my entire day doing work for the community and for Nor, like literally my entire day. All night I would be undercover in places that I probably shouldn't have, and he gave no fucks about our safety in terms of that. I was up all night sometimes with survivors. Oh my god, there's like all of this without us getting paid, without us getting any real acknowledgement for it, just us doing it because we loved each other and we loved everybody, and we were just doing it because we all literally are survivors in our own rights, and we just want to help people. So with all the other like stuff happening in the background, that's all that really mattered to me. And we were getting super busy, and he didn't really have any direction with where he was going. A couple of the team members surprisingly kind of just disappeared, and I wasn't really sure where they went, but like a couple, like those people I wasn't allowed really to talk to, so it wasn't anything I could ask questions about. That's the kind of team we worked in. We couldn't even ask questions about each other. It was just like, he kind of blew me off, and I was just like, don't worry about it, like we'll figure it out. At that point we still hadn't done anything with my Red Room stuff either. So I continuously kept asking him about that. I was like, when are we going to start doing that? I didn't want it to kind of go to waste. I came back from vacation, and that's when everything started happening. In terms of like the first time when I realized I was in a sex cult, and when I realized that I had been participating in one consistently, that I had signed a contract to something that I had no idea what the fuck it was, and that everything in my whole entire life at that point was a complete and utter lie. And that was when I posted a picture in the sand when I was in Jamaica. I also have video of me writing that same symbol on the back of the the painting in the hotel room. I also wrote it on the corner of the shower. My brother at the time was in the room with me, and he was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know." I kind of just like blabbered to him, and like every time I told someone about the stuff I was doing with Noor, I kind of always kept it secret, and I was kind of like, I kind of told them some things, but like the second I started talking about it, I could see the look on their face that like they didn't think it was right, and they were just kind of confused as to why I was doing this so like easily, just by like the things I was doing. And it really confused a lot of the people closest to me. I lost a lot of friends because I was never around. My roommate started noticing the patterns of grooming and weird activity way before I did. She started noticing it like right after I got the contract, because I like showed it to her, and she's like, "This is kind of fucked. Like I don't know why." Like she's like, I've never done anything like this," and I was like, "Oh well, whatever. It's just like it's a thing. Like there's other people doing it, and like it's a magical thing. Like you wouldn't understand." And like I said, he kept going with this like spiritual thing that really like pushed my button, that like this must be something like super special. I've done a lot of studies on cults, so like when I found out that I was in one, I kind of had like some cognitive dissonance for like a few minutes. The person I wasn't allowed to talk to, who was a part of the cult, we will call her the East, and she had left, and she messaged me saying that she was sorry and that she didn't leave because of me. And I was really confused, because I was like, "What are you talking about? I thought you left because we were in actually we mentioned it all the time in the server. The team was working in a suicide grooming server undercover, and it was really unsafe. Nora mentioned it in a live stream, which made it even more unsafe. And I was informed by her that no, she left. Well, she left because of that reason, but there were other reasons as well. Honestly, it was her bravery that day coming to talk to me that made me want to say my story today. So if she's listening in here, I love you. But she told me everything that was happening with her and Noor, that we were purposely not allowed to speak with each other, that she had put up a fight about the sex cult and was basically threatened and abused because of it. She couldn't take it anymore, and she left. And she wanted to tell me her story because she wanted me to leave too. And I when someone comes to you and they tell you their story, and obviously I won't give her story, that's her story. It just makes you start to see what's really going on around you. And I started doing my own research. I started reading more on everything that we were talking about, on sexploitation, and I was just in shock at how my life had turned into this game for a narcissist. And then I could finally see all the different stages. So like, I guess I'll put that in right now since I forgot. There are 7 stages of adult grooming, or sexual adult grooming. There's victim selection, research, then creating a personal connection, and then meeting needs, and then priming the target, and then putting in the sexual contact, and then controlling the victim. And after the predator can either move on to a new victim, or they can keep going on to early stages to regain trust. And right now, he's going back to early stages to try to regain my trust. And that's why I decided to tell my story. Before he could basically get to me. He actually, that's when things got to the most escalated in the grooming process. So yeah, at that point, he was trying to get me to move there with them. So he had mentioned it a couple of times in passing that that I should move there with them because I was having issues with money, and I was having issues with my house. And around that time was actually when Chef helped me out financially to keep me in my house because I was up for eviction a few times. And so him knowing my situation and him knowing that I really had nothing here and I was like on the verge of moving, etc., he started mentioning things like, I hope this isn't stalkery, but like, I can't wait until you get here, and like, you should just move here with us and it would be amazing. And don't worry how we'd explain it to the community. We could just explain it however we wanted to. And that's when it started to really concern me, because I didn't understand, like, it, like, after I didn't think I was in a sex cult, and then all of a sudden I'm fully in this like brainwashed, manipulated state, and then all of a sudden this person's trying to make me move there, and I was seriously considering it, and then I get this information, this like light savior information that that I was in this process, in this grooming process, and it was kind of my last straw. I kind of freaked out. I was like, oh my God, doing this to me. He's doing this to other people. I then later found out in the same little bit of time through my like research. I was still in the community, but I was very quiet about what I knew, and I was just trying to figure out what I was going to do. I found out that he actually had sexual misconduct with people beforehand from the community before I got in there. This was not the first time this stuff had been happening. The symbol that he was getting me to wear was a symbol of his that he had put on hundreds of women throughout his life. He had told me about his like sex addiction and like all of the like sexual things he used to do. I know he used to have like an orgy room in one of his older houses when he was younger. Wonder how many more women fell prey to things like this. It started to scare me that even after I left, things would still be going on. I contacted someone I knew really well. And she was kind of my fail-safe, just in case anything happened, because she wasn't in the community, but she was someone that I saw that Nora was starting to groom slowly. And with 2.2 million followers, I could not have that happening to somebody. So I let her know everything. I let her know all the stuff about the sex cult. I sent her all the documents. I sent her everything that I had. And I said, I need someone to know what's going on. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, so please don't tell anybody else, but like, I just need someone outside of here to know. The person I spoke to was concerned about somebody. She told him, or she messaged him asking about his safety. He was concerned for his safety, and he told Twinkie. And then Twinkie told him to go to Ron because she didn't know better. I'm literally just reading comments. At the time, I thought that he had gone to Ron, and I was pretty upset. But at that time, like I said, nobody knew what was going on. Everyone was kept in the dark about certain things on purpose. I don't blame anyone for anything. I don't blame anyone for anything that happened. But thankfully, through my own self-reflection, I've just realized we're all survivors of this person in different ways. Nobody knew what was going on. So he told Nor, and Nor started freaking out. I have screenshots. He called me a million times. I was out with my dad that day, and he was like, you need to call me right now. I'm going to expose everything. I need to know what happened between you and this person. Me and this person had been seeing each other in real life. He was the only person from the community that I had met in person. And he was the only person I trusted because he had told me a couple of things about what was happening in the community before I got there. And Nora was not happy that I was lying to him, that I was hiding things from him, that I would tell him anything about what him and I were doing. And that was right around the time, that was right after the Wolf Star incident, on like a high. That was like November 29th was the Wolf Star video, and then all of this stuff kind of happened a little bit after that in that week. He put out the Kinks How Not to Start a Sex Cult video on December 9th. On December 9th, How to Start a Sex Cult video was because he thought that I was going to be exposing him about starting a sex cult with said person that I had spoke to, and he was terrified. So he started to basically like say he was gonna he was going to mine people's computers. He was going to hack into everything. He was going to take all of our stuff. He was basically trying to get me to say as much stuff, like scare me into saying as much stuff as possible about my relationship with this person. And he basically turned this person into a scapegoat for his own misinformation. Sorry, for his own misdoings. Yeah, it's not a cult, exactly. That was because it was a cult. And he was trying his best to make it look like he was not. And I have attention to his beady eyes because during this entire time that I've been speaking about him, he was very high on cocaine almost every single night, almost every single day. Every single live for McKinney Manor was having a grand old time. Mr. Noor capability of hacking anybody. Every single one of his threats are completely empty. He cannot find any of your stuff. All of January, I basically sat in a shiver. I cried on the phone with Chef at one point. I know he spoke about that in his testimony. Because I thought that he was hacking into my computer. I thought he was hacking into my phone. I thought he had taps on everything. He has my address. He has my name. I thought he was going to come to my house. It was ridiculous. I was fucking freaked the fuck out. That's all part of his manipulation and how he manipulates you into thinking that he's more grandiose than he is. That's the narcissist of him. Yeah, that's a part of his antisocial personality to, like, have this, like, devious part of him making everyone think that he's this guy who has all these secrets. He does have secrets, just not the right ones. So at that point, he started to isolate me from the community, push me out. I was no longer involved in team meetings. I was no longer allowed to go on live streams. I was blocked from VC, so I couldn't speak out loud. I'm not sure, but I felt like I was being watched by the team, and was being told to be watched. And it was a really scary time. My whole life was based around this community, and, like, my ankle was slowly getting better, but those months that I was here, I basically just put my whole life into the community. So to be completely iced out was depressing. And, like, I remember I had a lot of suicide ideation at that moment. Chef, I love you. Don't worry about that from the other day, by the way. I have CPTSD, so it's something I go through often, and a lot of my symptoms were completely flared up. It got really bad, and it was all during Christmas and New Year. And it was a really rough time. And yeah, he never really messaged me, kept me on the outs. In and around January is when he started coming back. That's when he started putting out the videos being like, oh, like, I just was off on mental health. He says that a lot, by the way, that he's off on mental health. When he's off on mental health, it's because he's too high, and he's sick from his highness. Doing cocaine all the time really takes a toll on the body. So when he says he has, like, a really bad cold or flu, he might, but he didn't just catch that. It's because he's been killing his immune system with drugs. And he also uses that as an excuse just to play on people's hearts, to keep people around, especially the idea of, like, him needing time off for all the hard work he's doing, and for all the stories he's reading, and all the terrible things he's seeing online, aka all the work that his team is doing, all the things that he's ignoring us about, all the stress that he has because his entire team is consistently messaging him because he's consistently ignoring them for things that they need, for even just the simplest answer to a question. His idea of mental health is basically just going offline, ignoring everybody, coming back, and pitying his community for more money. That's basically the way that works anytime he mentions mental health. I've waited so long to tell this story, and, like, I feel so good just to tell it, and, like, oh my god. Okay. What would you say to those people who think this is between consenting adults, so it's okay? Oh, I got things to say. I got things to say about this. Let me just get to my page. Consent is coerced, and therefore there's no consent. Period. I'll say that again. In these situations, consent is coerced, and therefore there's no fucking consent. Adult grooming is real. He abuses power with survivors to take advantage of them. This instantly makes any type of idea of consent non-involved. He's coerced people into these situations, specifically through brainwash. Honest to God, the entire community being groomed by him in some type of way. So, yeah. And like I said, he goes particularly for people, mostly in the community, or at least from my experience, in sex working communities or in kink communities, so that so that he could use this consent thing. But when you're coercing people and manipulating them, in my opinion, that's not consent. So that's what I have to say about that. What can you say directly to the women who surround him? First of all, I love you. I don't know if you hear it enough. I don't know you, but I was you, and I love you. People can hate people so easily, like the way I've been hated by some of the people who surround him in this time, that I can love you just the same. I urge you to support other women who come out with their story, because it's very hard to do so. And I know there's a lot of us that are still waiting to gain the courage to tell their story, and I suggest that they do. My door is always open if you ever need any information or you want any support on leaving him or the community. I was very lucky to have survivors on the outside to help me leave in January. A few people actually. So I want to provide the same service for anyone who'd like to escape now, because you are escaping. I'd like the women to also think about Rachel and the babies, because they're the ones who are suffering the most about this. And as a woman, you should really think about her position. She didn't know a lot of stuff that was happening, from my understanding. She's really innocent in this. She's an amazing person, an amazing mother, and I have nothing bad to say about her at all whatsoever. She and I got very, very close. I was very close to that family, and I love them a lot, including those babies. To any men who surround him at the moment, I need you to ask yourself why you want to follow and support someone, first of all, and just plainly with this kind of controversy and evidence against them. Doesn't really make you look very good, and I really don't think you want your families to think of you in the types of ways that we're talking about this man. So I suggest that you get away from them as soon as possible. I need you to think about how you'd feel if you found out an important woman in your life was groomed, and signed a contract, and was drawing symbols on themselves for some other fucking man, and how you'd feel about that. Because that's really hard, and my dad cried when I told him. It might seem like nothing to you, but like, if this happened to somebody you love, it'd be a different story. He's not someone to look up to, and he's not a role model. And I suggest that if you love and care for women and human beings, that anyone who's still associated with him silently and proudly back away. There's no need to threaten anybody. There's no need to harass anybody. There's no need to make anybody feel bad. He already knows what he's done. He knows. He'll listen to this. He's seen everything here. He knows what's going on. And he still has said nothing. I don't know why anyone would want to support someone like that. So yeah. I too can help you escape. I do know many men who have escaped this man's manipulation. It's easier for people to stay indifferent than to see the truth sometimes, especially when the truth is something really hard like this. cognitive dissonance is normal and it's allowed, and I don't blame anyone for needing to have all the truth and needing to hear everything and needing to see everything. I'm the same way. I'm a huge truth seeker. One of the reasons why I came to this channel in the first place was because I love investigating things. I love researching. If you're unbiased, you need to really look at the facts and make a decision. And also, a lot of the people that he preys upon to get closest to him are very lonely. They find themselves in hard times that they might not have anyone to turn to, so they turn to him. He creates this community where people can turn to, which makes everyone feel safe, and it's amazing, but he uses that safety in the community to keep people close to him, and to keep people believing that he's a good person when it's actually just his community that's good. Everyone that I've seen in his community is amazing. It's him that is not amazing. And he uses that to his full advantage to keep people around. How does victim shaming play a part in this? I'm scared to say anything because when I first had said something at the early part of December, that backlash that I got just slightly, and like having people know kind of what was going on and still not have them help me, it was just really hard. Like I said, I don't blame anyone for it because everyone's scared. But he knew that was going to keep me silent and keep others silent. It keeps current supporters in the state of cognitive dissonance by just blaming the other people and using different words and tactics to make people look bad in the situation, specifically the survivors. And it allows him to continue to abuse and hold power over survivors and other future survivors. Multiple attempts to tell my story and having them fail is why I wanted to tell this story. I've tried so many times to have people listen to me, and so to have an area that I could just like sit and talk like I did right now and just like spew everything out was amazing. I always say the universe works in mysterious ways, and I always thought the universe would give me my right moment to tell this story, and it's absolutely right now, where we can all come together, and we can all support each other, and we can all collect things together and be a collective front, because I think that's the only way that this is going to get stopped. Because I want to encourage them and tell them that, oh my God, it feels amazing. It like literally feels amazing to just tell your truth. And it's not a pressure on anyone to do that. You never have to tell your story if you don't want to, but I promise that if you do decide to tell your story, I will be right in the chat as well, supporting you, being there, holding your space, and waiting for you to feel this moment of freedom too, because that's literally how I feel right now. This man, for the past over 9 months, has held some type of power over me, and by me telling the story, I have cut that cord, and I couldn't be so much fucking happier than I am right now. Honest to God. And then I also did this for the people who are still there, because you deserve to be loved, and you deserve to be supported, and you deserve to be in a community that'll listen to you. And as much as he's been saying that we're some like brainwash, hater, hacking, like God only knows what words he used, we're actually not at all. We're just all the survivors of his bullshit, and we've all just come together to love each other and listen to each other. Before I came in here, I kind of had a good little cry to myself, and I put on my little warrior nest, and just reminded myself that I'm not scared of anybody, and I'm not scared of this man. What would I say to Marks? Good question. I love her to death. I know she's scared. She's gotten in contact with me recently, telling me that she's scared. The reason that everyone was a destination, was like a direction, was for magic reasons. So I'm assuming he's sticking with that same thing if he's using some type of contract. However, if this is some type of thing that he's been doing for a long time, which is what I know, not a contract thing, but just generally his symbol has been around for a while, The symbol has been around for at least 20 years. But he would always just let me know that, like, he was going to hack into someone's something, or, like, he was going to try to, that he was going to expose someone's information, and, like, knowing that it would be associated with me. And yeah, it was just, I just always felt threatened by him. And like I said, him having all my information is just threatening enough. Like I said, he at one point he said he was going to send me a package that he never actually sent me. He was just collecting my address. But he had my address, my full name. He knows a lot about my history. He knows a lot about me. A lot. Figured out he had no hacking skills after a month of me stressing out and not sleeping because I thought he was hacking into my stuff and nothing happening. Honestly. And in that month of January, I'd been talking with a few people who had left the community. So I was starting to get a little more information on who he actually was as a person. And they were telling me that I had nothing to worry about. So I also assumed that I had nothing to worry about. But the man doesn't even know between a crow and the difference between a crow and a raven. So I really doubt he has hacking skills. Why do you think he is a god? Honest to God, I think that's just his narcissistic. Tendencies. I really think he uses that as some type of way just to coax people in terms of like him thinking that him saying that he's had this like spiritual experience. From my understanding, the majority of cult leaders actually say that they've had this kind of experience and are a god. So I have a lot of information on this community just generally being a cult as well, including the exploitation for money. He actually tried to help me out. So like at one point, because at one point I was supposed to be going, before I was going to Jamaica, I was supposed to be going to Italy. And so when I was going to Italy, we had made a plan for me to come to Scotland to do videos. Also at one point, me and another member of the team, the one who I was like seeing in real life, we had spoken about going out there as well. But when it started to get serious about me like moving there, we would talk like details about like where I would like he would turn like the shed into the place that I would stay. So like the shed that he keeps talking about that he's gonna build to like make the studio, like I was gonna stay there, and like I would help Rach with the kids, and like it's like there was more than just like, oh, you should come stay with us, haha. It was like, oh, like I cannot wait, like I can't wait until you get here. Like, oh my God, like this will be great. Like I said, he'd explain about the community, saying like, oh, we can just explain to the community that like you moved here for content, and like, and at the time I basically had nothing going for me here, so I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Like Scotland, like who cares? Like I'll be closer to like the rest of the community, etc., etc. Any kind of like, like I said, the fact that I had to message him being like, hi, like I'm about to work, like is it okay if I use my body to do my job, was kind of fucked. If I did happen to have any sexual contact with anyone else outside of him, I would have to tell him. I never did, even after signing the contract, because I thought that was a little bit stupid. And I'm just a natural born rebel, so even with signing a contract, I knew that wasn't gonna be a thing. But he did want me to tell him when I had sex or sexual relations with other people, which I never did. He tried to control my work. He tried to help me set up all kinds of different things online to help me with my work. He was trying to help my roommate and I start a podcast at one point. And yeah, that Red Room stuff, the Red Room footage that I made for him, he consistently just used that as like the next thing I was going to do, and it was actually in December. There was one point, and this is what caused me to, one of the reasons why I pulled out was I messaged him being like, what do you see for me in the channel? Like, what's my next project? And he told me that I didn't have any direction and that he didn't see anything for me. And that broke my heart because I knew that I had all that Red Room footage that we hadn't done anything with. And I had worked so hard on the channel, and I was like, I knew I was doing well. but that was him just kind of punishing me, I guess. So like I created a little drive for myself that like I put all my evidence in. Anything I've talked about today, I'm willing to post. I'll post any conversation I have. Obviously, I'm very tattooed, so that's why I was like, I'm just going to tell my story, because if I give any evidence, it's going to be so obvious. Also, where I sat in the team, if I gave my story, it'd be really obvious. So I have screenshots of photos of everything. He used to make me, oh, that's another thing. He used to get us to go out and like take photos of women we think that he would like, and do our like hand symbols with them and stuff like that. And so for I have a few photos of me going out with like 4 women who had no idea what the fuck I was doing, and I thought I was being like the best fucking person ever by like taking a photo for my darling. And like I feel so fucking bad. Share their evidence. Like I just want to make sure that nobody else gets caught in the situation that I was caught in. And if that means me telling my story like this, then that's the way it's gonna happen. And I know I'm gonna get a message from him. About all of this. So, oh, you guys are so cute with all your little claps. Clap, 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 clap. Oh, you guys are so cute. But yeah, thanks, Pinky. I know. I know. And yeah, send my love to everybody that you can for me. I hope you take the things that I've said and you combine them with all the other evidence that you see in this server, and you make your own decision on what's best for your life. I will tell you that the second I left this man's control is when I realized how much control he actually had. And the sooner you realize that, and the sooner you can get yourself to safety and love, the better it is for you and the better it is for your future. So like I said, my DMs are always open. I'm here to talk to anyone. I am here to help anyone. I'm here to listen to anyone. I'm here to do anything for anyone who's still associated with him. Because I have nothing to hide. It's really easy to just like block out other things, and see things but not really pay attention to them.